just like with the turkey, we have a nice portion of skin here that we can use that's going to act like a casing and hold our stuffing. So we're going to put duxelle in these today with a little bit of mousseline in it. You can see you can create a real nice pocket there, still have enough skin to cover that whole breast and protect it from drying out. So yeah, pretty easy to do, but that's one thing we're looking for you guys to demonstrate. I'll come back and I'll pull all this out on the cutting board and we'll talk about it. For the leg thigh here, for what you're doing, we're going to take this boneless, skinless. You know, so we could take the skin off first. If we're going to do this for a ballantine, you would start off the thigh, roll your knife kind of right around that thigh bone, just like we did with that lamb leg yesterday. Knife right on top of the bone, kind of exposing the bone, rolling around it. Now I can cut and remove some of this cartilage, and I can start to use the back of your knife to scrape up towards that knuckle or that joint. Once we get to that joint, we can start to roll the knife around there. And what we're trying to do is just cut around that joint. Need to get a little bit further in there. And what I'm doing is I'm feeling for the bones, trying to cut right around that joint to start to release that leg portion. Cut some tendon there. The real hard part sometimes with meat fabrication is just trying to get a good grip on it. And you always have to work safely. You are working with a sharp knife. Yeah, it's easy for it to slip and hurt you. So I'm trying to really just get good pressure where I can push right through that bone. Just scraping the meat up. Yeah, cutting through some of the tendon. So in this portion, if we're doing a ballantine, we would typically leave the little knuckle on there. But again, going for the heel of your knife, just pounding it through. So hopefully we end up with a nice clean cut, not a lot of shards. But pulling this back the other direction, yeah, we end up with a mostly boneless leg thigh quarter. Skin on it, protect it from drying out. Underside of it, we have a little bit of a pocket here. We can put some force meat in this or stuffing. Yeah, and that way we would end up, if we roasted this, a nice little ballantine. You know, for our purposes, again, what you're going to reinforce today, we're going to look to take this boneless, skinless, so you don't necessarily need to roll around that leg the same, but you could go ahead and take a hold of the skin and start to pull the skin off, particularly with the chicken. The duck, not as easy to do, but we're just going to look to remove the skin. Same thing, score right on top of the leg, or the thigh, and then differently we're going to score on top of the leg just to start to expose the bone. So now I've exposed the bone on both sides. I could take my knife, slip it underneath, and I'm going to cut this free, and I'm going to leave this here because there's a lot of tendon and connective tissue there. Once we get to this point, a couple different things. We can score right on top of that joint to start to expose the joint, and then you could just roll your knife kind of on either side or even pick up the bone and start to roll it a little bit, just scoring right on top of the bone and start to roll that out. Same thing here. Just as what we've done before, and I didn't cut this free yet, but we cut this free at the thigh. You could use the back of your knife to start to scrape the meat back, and that's always a good way because you're not going to cut through the tendons by scraping, but I could start to scrape the meat back. Now I can have both leg thigh bone in my hand, scrape it back all around, starting to expose that joint, yeah, and then just cutting around, cutting that joint, you know, and there we have a leg thigh bone still connected, the meat separated out from it. Here with this one, again, we're looking to take this boneless, skinless for our preparation today, so all I have to really do is finish taking the skin off and cut that little drumette off of it. And let's see here. What am I doing? What am I looking for? It's not as much fat as it is cartilage. You know, a lot of times, cartilage is this little white piece here. Yeah, and that's not going to break down during cooking. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for cartilage because we have a lot of cartilage around the joints. Here we have like a little fan of cartilage here from that joint. That's not going to break down during cooking, so I'm looking to cut out the cartilage. And that's what I really look at when you guys fabricate. So let's say this is practical. We've just finished. We'll go ahead and lay our products back out here since we have a bunch of them. You're like, so we had trusted, I came over, I checked it. This time you're like, chef, I'm done. I'll come over, I'll check it. And what I'm looking for first is, did you do a good job yielding on the carcass itself? Can I scrape off more than that golf ball size of meat? Yeah, the wings, that you got those separated out, that we could look to use those for something else. You know, they could go for stock certainly, but they could also go towards a bar prep for, you know, the ever famous hot wings, right? So here we have our breast meat. Two things I look for here. One, does the skin cover the breast? You know, did you cut enough of that skin away to cover the breast? The second thing, when I flip it on the other side, is I'm looking to see if there's any kind of cartilage left here or bone left here. You know, and the only bone that should be left here is this little drumette bone. So that's the second thing. So that would be good, good. You know, I come back and I'm just looking to see if you'd cut most of the meat off of that and didn't really waste a whole lot. You know, I wouldn't even say anything about this little piece here, but I'm just going to take that. And then I'm looking at your leg thigh, and what I'm looking for there is cartilage. I'm not as concerned with the fat, and that you remember to take the skin off. You know, overall, good. You know, I mean, practicing is what's going to make you good at this.